It's completely spelled out. It's, you know, funds you count on, and that's in the agreement. Let's see. Your other question about how can the village afford this? The village can afford this because it is a strategic. Once we have the center up and running, it'll be a state-of-the-art center. It will be the latest and greatest technology, and it will be at a much significant cost that other tip. Those are additional tax dollars that come directly into the corporate fund that will allow us to service that debt. You look at the additional 20, and then when you talk about the center itself starts to generate revenue, that's going to lessen the burden on the general fund. So the project
participating members, then what we're taking the share of the operating costs, and instead of splitting them 50-50, if we had one,
you increase revenue because you're having.
Okay, so that's what I'm trying to figure out, is how you're coming to the idea. It's not so much that it's generating revenue as that we're saving money.
Both.
Seeing in here, it's our center, and if you're saying money based on, instead of paying half of the operating costs, we'd be paying a third or a quarter or a fifth or whatever, how many more municipalities come, start to get.
And then our share of the expenses become less, and therefore we have revenue to put forward the debt service.
So just to let you know, I
understand. So that will be taken care of when the project actually breaks ground, right? So we're not gonna, so we have an estimate. So Paul has, he's been on this the whole time, right? So we're gonna take place, all of it is not gonna hit within the next fiscal year, right? So we may break ground and all the costs that are associated, because, you know, when you build something, you don't pay for it all up front, right? So it's progress building. So
the newest deadline, based on the extensions that we got, I didn't realize that answer to my question. So. No.
Madam President, this motion, next item on the agenda, item D, an ordinance amending Title II, Boards and Commissions, Chapter 9, Emergency Telephone.
Second.
It's been properly motioned by Trustee Jones, seconded by Trustee Horn. Madam President.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. The purpose of this ordinance is to amend Title II, Chapter 9, Section 2-9-1 through 2-9-3 of the Village Code to dissolve the Barview ETSB System Board shall rescind an ordinance or ordinances creating a single emergency telephone system board and shall eliminate the single emergency telephone system board effective upon the creation of the Joint Emergency Telephone System Board, with regulatory approval by the administrator or joining of the Joint Emergency Telephone System Board.
Resolution authorizing and approving an agreement, Inc. regarding residential collection and transportation and
11 years. It may have been longer. But I would have thought since at the end of that contract that we would have put this out for bid. We put an RFP bid. We may have gotten some better responses to a new garbage contract. We owe it to the public to do this for them. You know, they elected us for this. We know.
An email about these rates, and I responded with some questions back to him, Madam Mayor, as to see if this was something that he had on paper that he verified with those communities so that we can actually look at. So I understand where he's coming from.
Your legal research for you.
You're
You're a municipal.
You're practicing law in the state of Illinois.
I'm not practicing law.
You
I'm trying to
cited
think.
a case. You literally cited a case and then refused to give the citation. Practice law in the state of Illinois.
I'm not practicing to figure out.
You said there is
I'm
a
trying to
case
figure.
that
I'm
says you
looking
can't
for
approve
landmines.
this, but you can't cite the case.
didn't bring the cases with me, because why should I have to educate so that we can cover the roll-off costs that we talked about at the finance committee meeting? And what happens is you get a situation like this, where whether or not this was a factor, the law.
Excuse, so the reason why, the reason why I asked, Frank from Groot and Director.
So when we came in office and during my first year tenure, the contract for was expiring. At the time, I believe I was an elected official with trustee along with the rate increase was set at a CPI of minimum and a maximum of 5%. Okay. In hindsight, I always felt like we could have did better. Rate increase that was negotiated, because we all know that during that period of time, the CPI at times $41, I believe. The rate reduction now is $12.25. Plus, so you're not charged, once again, this was part of the negotiations, for those individuals that like to come through town and fly up, particularly behind these multi-family buildings. So, you can call, you can let us know, you can call, and say, hey, somebody needs to do some trash back here, and they're gonna be driving the spot to pick it up, and do additional. Get educated about RFPs. And I would suggest that our fellow legislators become as knowledgeable. I found the RFQ to be a more useful tool. As a matter of fact, we were able to.
Right, but when compared to the West Central Municipal Conference, I think Broadview right now, with the free e-waste shred days, and the other community events that we're gonna work in partnership with the Village of Broadview, I think would put you at the bottom of the West Central Municipal Conference of all its member communities, as far as price goes. So, we're excited. We've been here since 19.
Let me correct you further, please. Okay. Please listen to what I'm saying. It wasn't 40%. It was $40,000. Okay.
Okay. All right.
All right.
Very good. They're paying $19.35 a month for everything. You know what's
And we're paying $12.25 a month for everything.
What I read in the contract, and I may be wrong, maybe I read it wrong, was that he's got the contract, $12.25 a month.
Thank you, Director Ames.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Can we get a roll call vote,
No,
please?
Yes, you
actually-
can, Madam President.
Actually,
Trustee Ely.
it's exactly what the contract says, is
Yes.
Trustee Brom-Marino.
no.
Madam President, this carries 4-2.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda, item F, as in Frank, a resolution awarding the contract for the 17th Avenue Municipal Parking Lot Project to Chicagoland Paving Contractors, Inc., after competitive bidding for the Village of Broadview, County of Cook, State of Illinois.
Chris, we're gonna go down, it'll get explained through Trustee Jones. Thank you. Anything else, Trustee?
No.
Trustee?
Out there shows a picture of a building that's gonna be there. It doesn't show is the reconstructing lot on the backside of it. So the railings are gonna be gone, it's gonna get resurfaced, the traffic pattern's gonna change a little bit, it's gonna get restriped. So that whole parking lot that sits right across from the post office and right behind,
Marino?
None.
Can we get a roll call vote, please?
Yes, you can, Madam President. Trustee Brom-Marino.
Yes.
Trustee Abraham.
Yes.
Trustee Horn.
Yes.
Trustee Jones.
Yes.
Trustee Ely.
Yes.
Madam President, this carries 6-0.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda, item G, an ordinance.
Section 11-13 of the Illinois Municipal Code 65 ILCS 5/13-6, in specific cases, a variance may be made by ordinance after a public hearing before the Board of Appeals, of which there shall be a notice of.
And it still falls within the confines of the county.
Okay, that's all I got.
Okay, Trustee Tierney?
I have no questions.
Trustee Jones?
I just want to comment, these guys have been talking about this for some time. How long you guys been considering this?
It's been
for me.
At any rate, this is like a training facility.
Doing this type of a service.
Trustee Brown Marino?
I have no objection to this. I think it's a good idea.
Mr. Clerk, can we get a roll call vote?
Yes, you can, Madam President. Trustee Brown Marino?
Yes.
Trustee Abraham?
Yes.
Trustee Horn?
Yes.
Trustee Jones?
Yes.
Trustee Tierney?
Yes.
Trustee Ely? Madam President, this carries 6-0.
The Village and William and Renee Sovak for the property commonly known as 2101, 2107 South 17th Avenue. Pursuant to Section 2-3-8 of the Illinois Municipal Code 65 ILCS 5/2, municipalities are authorized to acquire and own in personal.
They can make their own deal. This is at Mark Press. Not to mention that I'm opposed the amount of money was $380,000 or something that you're proposing we give on the side of that building supporting certain people. They've been good soldiers. This is their. There's no anywhere we should be entertaining this. That concludes my comment.
Thank you.
No, I have none.
Trustee Jones?
Okay, well, a couple things. First of all, this is actually increasing and not decreasing.
Yes, they are.
Secondly, this particular property, if we buy it, knock it down, put a senior citizen development, not only will it sustain, but it will increase the property value. And they have supported every, let me say this again, every administration. They have done the village publications and village, printed village materials since I can ever remember. So I don't know that anybody could say that they have been heavily on one side or the other.
I just wanted to add, as far as the purchase price goes, that there was an appraisal, and that's something that we can make available to the trustees. And then, just more, the way the ordinance is drafted.
Because it went up, telling me that the taxes were, because our property value, my property increase was just a good thing. So I'm glad that my property is worth more than what I initially purchased it for. And I resent the idea that people are implying that police are motivating the decisions that are taking place.
As Jones has explained, that Edmark area was always going to be part of it. And we've had former men, you know, looking at this and trying to, it was becoming more solid with Trustee Jones' administration. So just to be aware of it, it's something that needs to be part of the deal so it has a better flow.
All the other real estate that the village owns. And we have business being in the real estate business like this. So that's one of my concerns. I see this, I do understand that it's just a matter of contributions. Edmark Press has been carrying Friends of Sherman Jones. Friends of Sherman Jones owes them almost $10,000 and has for a number of years. And so the idea, if you don't know history, you're doomed to repeat it. And that's exactly what I see going on here. And frankly, I'm really starting to believe all those people who said administration wants to bankrupt this. I don't see this. I don't even see where we're supposed to come up with this money from. So.
For everybody else, I'm going to speak for Verena Horn. I do not vote because the majority votes. I'm not going along with the flow because stuff is presented to me. What I do make a last question is I will have for Mr. Hicks, are you ignorant to this expense? The purchase of the building? Yeah, my point is that the finance director was considered in the decision. And so we can hold a person who has went to school for a very long time and have the credentials to support their body of knowledge to a percentage. It's more likely that they may be wrong about something or misinterpreting information, even if they have the best interest of the village at heart. That's my point. I'm in IT. Nobody can really tell me too much about IT other than somebody who studied IT. Else I'll take your body of knowledge as a grain of salt and go verify it somewhere else. That's my point. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Horn. Trustee Jones?
Yeah, bankrupt the village is a complete misrepresentation of what's going on here. This is actually an investment in our village. Yes. This is an investment in taking a piece of property that is antiquated and it sits in the middle of but somebody got paid in this deal. They bought up all the property, they knocked down all the buildings, and the plan was to put $250,000. And oh, by the way, if the money comes from a TIF fund or from a connecting TIF fund or wherever it comes from, it does not directly impact our general fund. Okay, so let's compare apples to apples and oranges to oranges. Okay, don't try to mix the two up and try to mislead the public into what's going on here. TIF districts are created for the purposes of development.
Mayor Rogers, former Mayor Rogers, was the mayor, and the village did something. They took a big endeavor on with this little town, and that was the Broadview Village Square. And I had the opportunity to be appointed to that board, to serve on it, to render decisions for that mall. And that the village had to purchase that property, okay? They wanted to put homes there, but Aldi came in and said, we're gonna pay cash, and we're gonna put this building up, and bang, there's the building. Look at where that Aldi's at now. They just remodeled. It's being built. I mean, think about that. We've had people that went against the grain. I mean, I understand she's not with this, but guess what? My family came here in 1957 from the city of Chicago, okay, from Taylor Street. They bought their first house here. I still own it. I have my own home here. I'm investing.
The problem with that is that this is in the 17th Avenue North tip that has generated no money whatsoever.
It don't matter. It touches the Roosevelt Road tip.
So if we're talking about comporting money from...
Start off by thanking Chief Tracy Kinney. Last week, after working on minutes, my deputy clerk and I took a trip over to the fire department to do a quick tour. I wanted to show her what was going on at the fire department and get an idea of what some of them, and to my surprise, I was met by Chief Kinney. And she gave, and we have the new dryer system. This has been, how long, Chief, that you've had this? And I didn't even know about it. 2 years now? The gear dryer. The gear dryer, right.
I would like to note that Trustee Brown Marino is leaving the board meeting at 9:41.
For the record, Trustee Brown Marino is leaving at 9. Hiring the Wednesday, April 11th, from 4 to 7 p.m. Then I have an announcement from the Proviso Township Committee, or you would like to RSVP. The number to call is 708-316-88. Laurie Madden is the person to speak to. Lastly, trustees, I know I've spoken to you, a couple of you, about paperless system in the clerk's office. I like to, some of the pages that I didn't print for you today. Yeah, look at the mirrors. We had over 161 pages of backup information for one of the ordinances, one of the exhibits, and I couldn't bring myself to printing 8 copies of that. Just
Our documents electronic, so it's accessible for us. And I'll send you the dates where you can. So it'll be with myself and the department heads on how we transition from paper to electronic documents, and something that we can share across the and stay the whole length of the meeting, but talk about legislation or put legislation in place that just did not make us responsible as a village to move forward. We have a team in place that we want to move forward, and we want to work with all part of that. They're not keen on what takes place in the legislation. They don't reach out to the department head and have, but certain elected officials choose not to get the questions. We get emails that's inappropriate because they fail to look at or fail to reach out to department heads to get the information to challenge this budget moving forward in the next 5 years or the next 10 years. Each department head is actually accountable for their own budget. We unify our school districts, we unify in our park district. We have so many initiatives that's about to take place in this next year. And I have to just give a huge kudos to Director Hicks, because he made us accountable to the needs, like telling us, what did you accomplish in 2018? We deserve, as well as the people that work for us. So we work our Blue Cross Blue Shield to implement good programs for the employees. And name calling, saying things unprofessionally and being uncouth in your statement is just absolutely ridiculous, not acknowledging your department heads, but you want to be called trustee. That is just the most unrespectful thing I've ever seen. I have 2 website, you can register for the team. We are looking to raise money so that we can send kids to the Horseyback Camp for a week, and so that we can provide the Saturday City where they provide tutoring for those impacted with autism or developmental disability. Population of people, but we want a well-rounded community. We want to have a community. So with that being said, I just want to say, God bless you. We appreciate the support. We appreciate you all staying here with us this long. So we hoping that we can just work together, get a budget passed when it's time to get passed. If it's anything that my office can provide to you all, we're here to be very transparent. I ran on the transparency, accountability, and integrity. And when